Welcome back to Honest Hippie Homestead. Let's do a garden update.
This is where we left you at with the garden in April 2025. The plants that I grew from seed did really well in our soil. They produced lots of flowers, which brought in lots of bees and wasps for pollinating, which created tons of little baby fruits and vegetables. And for a time, we got good produce out of the garden, lots of varieties of cucumbers, and I planted over 10 varieties of tomato plants. So we had tons and tons of tomatoes. But that all quickly changed.
Even though our garden was producing well, there were a few factors at play that caused some issues for our garden.
The weather this year has been absolutely insane. We have got the most amount of rain than I ever remember getting. Our plants began to struggle, some seeds got washed away, and weeds began to grow. The pathways that we tarped and mulched did okay, but the rest of the garden became very quickly overrun with uncontrollable weeds. By June, this is what 3/4 of our garden looked like. It is uncontrollable, and when I zoom in, you can see where my tomato cages are. There's actually tomato plants hidden in there that you can barely even see. I had my husband carefully walk through that tall grass because Lord knows I wasn't going to do that, and remove the tomato cages from the wild plants. And I decided to repurpose those and use them on the few rows of tomatoes where I had mulch in between the rows, and these plants were not taken over by weeds. By now, these tomato plants are a few months old, so they're really too big to just now be putting in a tomato cage, but they will perform better if I get them up off the ground. So I take my time and slowly weave the arms of the plant to make them lift up through the middle of the cage.
So next we had to decide what to do with the extremely overgrown areas.
We made the really hard choice to accept our defeat, and my husband mowed over the extremely wild grown, weed infested areas. It was really heartbreaking to watch all of our previous hard work just be mowed over. But that was a homesteading lesson that we had to learn the hard way. We have over 3 acres to garden, so we can easily grow enough food to feed 100 people. But if we can't properly manage our plants and take care of our garden, it ends up being overwhelming and becoming a disaster. So as I stood on the sidelines and could smell the tomatoes, cantaloupes, and cucumbers being cut up, I knew that I wanted to do different next time. And we had buddies like this hiding in our tall grass. No, thank you.
Now the rebuild can start. Here goes attempt number 2 for having a successful garden in 2025.
Good thing we like being outside and gardening, because here comes a lot more work for us. We were able to salvage about 4 rows from the previous garden, and we decided that wasn't big enough and wanted to add more, but don't worry, this time we did not go super crazy and make it too big from what we could handle. We first added 5 or 6 more planting rows and laid down tarp to mark the walk paths in between the rows, and my husband used stakes to hold those tarps down into the ground. Then he used the hand till to break up the rows that we're going to be planting in, to loosen up those weeds, break up the dirt, and I went back behind him and slowly at my own pace and weeded those planting rows so we can get all the weed and grass out of the way so they won't steal the nutrients from the seeds and plants that we will be putting in these rows. So we were setting up this second attempt at the garden in July, and it is so hot in the Oklahoma summer. So we made a decision to splurge a little bit on the homestead and had our friend come out, and he is flattening out an area because we bought us an above ground pool. I grew up in the country and we had a lot of yard work and gardening work, and we had chickens. So I know that you're outside all the time and how miserable our Oklahoma summers can be, and having a pool on your property is absolutely divine. This is the Intex Clearview pool. I believe they range from 14 up to 20 feet around, and this is a 14-foot pool. Assembly was pretty easy. We didn't get a chance to even start on setting up the pool until about an hour before dark. And we were able to get this set up that quickly with just the two of us and start filling up with water, which that's the part that takes a long time. It took probably with our well, it was sometime the next day before the pool was full. But we were very happy that we treated ourselves. So after hot days of working in the garden, we have this nice, cool pool to take a dip in. Now, let's get back to the garden progress. So, after we had everything tarped and the rows weeded, it was time to spread compost along those rows. Back in March, I had ordered a massive pile of compost, so we still had a lot left to compost and enrich these new planting rows that we are adding. We spread it about 2 to 3 inches thick along the planting rows. After the compost, next is heavy mulching. Vivor's black tarp is a fantastic weed blocker, but to make sure that it lasts for even more years to come and it's more aesthetically pleasing, we heavy mulch with cypress mulch that we bought from Home Depot. And the amount of bags that we had to buy to mulch the whole garden.
Our family loves gardening, but I think having a garden with a Pyrenees puppy makes it even more fun.
Look how much Drax has grown. Our last garden video was filmed in April-May time, and then this is July. He has more than doubled in size. And you can see he loves ruining our recent mulch jobs, but he eventually did calm down.
Now let's get to replanting this garden.
Oklahoma has a really long growing season. Around mid-July, you can plant a second round of warm weather crops. From seed, I direct sow an early variety of corn and plant fast-growing crops like beans and cowpeas. At the beginning of July, I started a bunch of plants indoors, including zucchini, 2 different types of yellow squash, cucumbers, some bush steak tomatoes, and for later on, broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. You can see that the garden this time around already looks so much better. With proper weed barrier and mulch in place, the garden will be much easier to handle. The plants that I was able to save are still producing, and I really am enjoying getting out in the garden and being able to witness lots of sunrises and definitely sunsets. This was a hard lesson learned, but we will definitely do better from here on out.
Already attempt number 2 at a garden is so much more successful. We would like to do a phase 2 and add a little bit more onto the garden for fall crops. We have an open area left in the garden and it's the perfect place to add some garden boxes. If you'd like to follow along on the gardening journey, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and leave a comment. Until next time, happy homesteading.